we on?
We're on, dear.
We're on. Oh,
We're
we're
on.
on. Well, you've been away. You've been to Ireland.
I have. I've been
If
to
you ever go
to
across
Dublin
the sea
town.
to Ireland, Dublin town.
Dublin
How
town.
wonderful.
I know.
See your family.
See my family, drink lots of Guinness, drink lots of wine. It was a lot of drinking. But that's the Irish culture for you.
I couldn't see you drinking Guinness, actually. It's too butch for you, I think.
Oh, it's different in Ireland. It's a smoother drink in Ireland. But it was a heavy drink. I had 5 pints, I think, on
Gosh.
on that
Surprised you're
day.
still here.
Yeah, I know. It was a tough one. Definitely messes with your stomach as well. It goes through you, to put it politely.
I know. I used to drink Guinness when I was in the sixth form.
Oh, really?
It's a bit of a pose, you know.
Yeah, of course it was. Yeah.
For a while. And then it got down to vodka and lime. I used to drink vodka and lime.
I have only drunk vodka when I wanted to get drunk. Otherwise, it was gin. I'm a gin man. G&Ts.
I couldn't be doing with either of them now, vodka or gin. I don't mind a gin and tonic every now and then, or
You just have 2
Gin
bottles of red
martini.
wine in a night now instead. Yeah.
which I did last night.
Yeah, I'm sure you did, yeah.
Well, we're celebrating Easter, so why not?
Oh, it is. We're recording this on Easter Sunday.
We
so-
are recording this on Easter Sunday. We're both resurrected, definitely.
Yes, we are. It's nice to be back.
It's nice to be back,
Yeah.
absolutely.
What have you been up to? What are your plans? What's happening in your life now?
Well, I'm thinking of going up to Shoreditch.
Oh, a very young, youthful. You might stick out there.
You cow!
Well,
How could you?
I'm just. I don't want you to. People might be staring. They might be thinking.
What do you
"Oh,
mean? There's a young crowd.
It's up and coming. It's lots of young people are moving there, living there.
Well, I'd fit in very well. Artistic,
Young at heart.
young at heart. That's right. That's right. And are you going to Shoreditch?
Well, I was meant to meet my old lecturer tomorrow, but he's cancelled on me to see the in-laws instead. Which it's always family, honestly. But I'll let him off. So I'm just going to take myself out for a day in London tomorrow, I think. Do a few bookshops.
Good.
Yeah. What are you doing in Shoreditch?
Well, I'm going to do a bit of research around Shakespeare, actually. I've written this play called Will and Juliet about the first person who played Juliet, which would be a boy.
Which I starred in and was the lead, just
You
to
were-
say.
you
And
were
I
the
played it
lead.
very well.
You played it wonderfully well. You moaned about all the lines.
It was so many lines.
Well, I've cut it down since. And anyway, we did it at my school, and I'm planning to get it published or to find a company that might send it out there to other schools. But so I've been rewriting it, and I want to go up to the site of the theatre, which was where Romeo and Juliet was first performed.
Before the Globe was this?
Before the Globe, this was. And it was actually in Shoreditch. So I'm going to go there and have a look around. There are certain monuments.
I was going to say, what's there now? Is there anything? Or
Well,
is
the
it...
theatre's not there
No.
anymore, but I think there is a monument.
or something.
A plaque, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's also a plaque to 2 of the actors, Hemmings and Condell.
I remember those
them.
names, yeah.
They were in the play because they actually lived around one of the parishes there.
Oh,
and were
okay.
buried there, yes. So it's quite... and I think Shakespeare lived there himself, actually, at one point. So it's worth going to see. That's what I'm doing. I'm not going around because I'm thinking I'm younger than I am. And thank you for reminding me.
I was just giving you a little warning, you might get a few stares.
You are
As
outrageous.
you strut around,
Well, I have to say that this area of Shoreditch will probably be even more up and coming because I've graced it with my presence.
Okay, I'll let you have that one.
Thank you very much indeed.
Yes. Welcome to Hello Dear, the podcast where age is just a number and opinions come with a touch of laughter. I'm Ciaran, the young perspective on the twists and turns of life today.
And I'm Neil, the seasoned voice of yesterday, with a flair for drama and a love for life. Together we're here to chat about everything under the sun, from the latest trends to the timeless tales of our own experiences. So, grab your favourite beverage, get comfy, and join us as we explore the complexities of life.
So today, what are we going to talk about?
Well, I think you mentioned about dating.
Oh, well, don't put this on me, because you were up for this just as much as I was.
How do we meet a significant other?
Or non-significant other.
Or an insignificant other.
Oh, it's very different for both of us. You lived in the days before phones and dating apps existed, which is how I've met
before
anyone.
phones, I'm not before the
Okay, mobile telephones.
Mobile telephones.
Yes, with screens.
Yes.
Yes. Well, why didn't you start? You tell me how you used to meet people back in the day.
It was very difficult, really. Well, it wasn't. Magazines had, and newspapers had Lonely Hearts columns.
Ooh, okay.
They still do, presumably.
Yeah.
And The Guardian had the Guardian Guide, which came out on a Saturday. It was a supplement. I think it still does. We're going before anything was online at all, but no online at all. And Time Out also had.
Oh, bloody hell. Are you all right, dear?
I'm sorry, viewers. I'm slowly expiring.
No, don't
This
say
will
that.
be the last broadcast you will ever hear.
Don't be like that. No.
Ciaran will have to carry on his own. Yes, so there was Time Out magazine, which actually you had to buy in those days. It was once a week. Now it's a freebie. It was a fully fledged magazine, and they had a Lonely Hearts column as well. Personals they were called, and also there were certain magazines that would appear in gay bars as well, where you could. But I only ever used Time Out and The Guardian, I think.
Did you write into them, the Lonely Hearts columns?
Well, they'd put in this little kind of small ad, and they'd use abbreviations like, good sense of humour was GHOH kind of thing, because obviously they didn't want to spend any more money on the ad because you were paying.
You had to pay for
word.
it, did you?
You paid per word, yeah.
Wow.
So it's very difficult to summarise yourself.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And of course, they put their age down or something to reasonably near their age, if you know what I mean. And you had these little ads, and you replied to them in the hope that, that looks an interesting person. I might go and see it.
Was there a picture?
No.
No.
No pictures. And basically, you arrange to meet them somewhere, and you see what they look like, In a way, it was quite safe because obviously nowadays you always say, even with online, go meet someone in a public place first.
Tell your friends where you are, what time you should be back. Yeah.
Or have, someone with you that you can, there's so-and-so, I'm just going to go off here.
Yeah.
It was very much a blind date situation, very much. And then I learned a little that the idea is to put your own ad in because they are replying to you. You are not replying to them.
You're already a step ahead.
You're already a step ahead. They'd reply to this box number and then they'd be sent to you by the newspaper.
Ooh.
So it's quite exciting.
Yeah.
When something comes to the door and there are all these letters,
That is quite fun, actually. Yeah.
Sometimes they would enclose a photograph. But don't forget, nowadays you can do photos.
Yeah, everywhere.
I mean, if I wanted to go on a dating app, say, Ciaran, just quickly take my photograph.
Yeah, well, you have to have a picture now on a dating app. Yeah.
Photos
Unless you're on Grindr, then you can put anything you want as your profile
exactly.
picture. Yeah.
I'll come back to that in a minute.
Oh.
That's just to keep you interested to the end of the episode. So that's what you did, and you waited for a reply. From my point of view, putting the ad in, it was a very good idea because obviously I was looking for someone who could write a decent letter.
Yes, you're an intellectual, weren't you? Well,
I
still are, sorry.
Still am. I want someone who's fairly articulate and obviously so we could get on and all that, what they're interested in and everything. Or sometimes I'd write and then I'd leave a phone number if I was writing to them and then they'd phone me. Now, this is no mobile phones. It's a house phone.
So you could end up speaking to their mother?
Well, possibly, yeah.
God, I can't imagine.
You were always listening for noises behind them. You see,
trying to figure out what was like the house was like,
and all that, dog barking and all that kind of thing.
Imagine that because they were wired into like your hallway, weren't they?
Yes,
a lot of the phone.
yeah.
Imagine your mum like being in.
Yeah. Well, I was living on my own, or I
suppose.
was living with a couple of gay friends who didn't matter. Say,
They didn't care. It was normal.
They're very
I'm on the phone to another man. It's okay.
They're very interested. Who's he? They're very obviously they're interested.
Yeah.
And it was really quite a scary thing in a way. I don't know how we did it, but again, it was a public place. That was the thing.
Yeah.
That you met them, and Some quite horror stories, but we won't go into all of them. But, it was, I think, from my point of view, I'll be perfectly honest with you listeners, I got very overexcited about all this. I think you had to go into the whole operation cool as a cucumber, very calm.
Yeah.
If I meet someone, I meet somebody. If I don't, I don't. If no one's interested, maybe I'll try again in a few months' time. That kind of
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
You know, if you really need to know what you're looking for as well.
Yes.
You know, who you're looking for, rather, who you're looking for. Suss people out when you meet them very quickly.
It's hard a first date, isn't it? Because you have to jump to a lot of conclusions, but not too many, so that you after the first date you need to know: do I give them another chance and see them a second time, or have I seen too much? Is there too much?
Some people don't present themselves very well.
No,
they're nervous.
Exactly, and you might not actually. You might say no, but they might have been a good fit. It's hard, isn't it? There's a lot of pressure on it.
Person, you know. And obviously looks come into it. Far
of
too
course
much
they do.
negates
Yeah.
them, but they do come into it inevitably.
Well, you have to be attracted to some extent. They don't have to be the most beautiful man on the planet, but or woman. But
and you've got to give them a chance. I believe that firmly. Yes, I will meet. I'll see what they're like, even if the letter they sent wasn't that brilliant, or if on the phone they didn't sound that brilliant. You just don't know
exactly.
You give them a chance. You know.
I always try to go on a second date.
Oh, you could tell me, how do you meet people?
Well, how to do it? So
in the modern world of technology.
In the modern world of technology, are you on
Grindr?
No, I'm not on any dating apps now. No, I'm in a healthy
relationship.
relationship.
They need to have one called Finder. That would be even better.
That's the straight version, is it? Finder. No, it'd just be so at uni, I met my ex on Tinder, and I met Will on through TikTok of all places.
All right.
But yeah, it would be dating apps and then social media, and then I'd always have the guts just to message people, you know? Would not necessarily, so like that's how I met Will, was I messaged him after he came up on my TikTok, and I was like, oh, he's cute. So I messaged him and on Instagram, and then we got talking, and then we didn't speak for like a year, and then I was like, sod it, I'm going to message him again about a year later. And then that's how we went on a date then, and then that was it. It was from there.
So you were calm, cool, and collected about it.
I'm always calm, cool, and collected. You know.
No, you're not. We've been talking about your future earlier on.
Oh, now let's not shame me here on the podcast.
No, but that's important. But yeah, I suppose it's much more casual for you. When he got in touch with you on TikTok, I mean, how did you? Was he just happen to you on TikTok? You thought he's a nice guy.
So he came up on my feed, and it was just
What do you mean by feed?
So when you scroll on TikTok, you just get loads of videos, and that's like your feed of videos. Right. Like they feed you videos, and you just scroll.
Because you're gay, and the other.
No, I didn't know he was gay. Like you don't know any. It's not a dating thing at all. It's just videos.
See.
And so
you could write to him as a gay person. He could be.
Yeah, he could be straight. Yeah,
terribly
exactly.
Straight.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, he was clearly not. No offense, Will. But
well,
he had a big fluffy.
Well, I'm very pleased to hear that you are the victim of sarcasm as well. How you get on with him, I just do not know.
So yeah, it wasn't a dating app at all. It's just content stuff. And then I was just scrolling. I was like, oh, he's cute. I'll message him on the odd chance that he's single and gay. And he was in a relationship at the time, but we just like spoke as friends, and then it fizzled out, obviously. And then I messaged him about a year later, around. I think we were speaking in the January, and I think I messaged him again in December. I don't know what made me. Do you know what I was? I was a bit tipsy in a pub with Matt Fuller.
Oh.
Matt Fuller was like my best friend at school, one of them, and well, the three of us were good. Kind of, we've all kept in touch, haven't we?
Yes,
after leaving
yeah.
school. Yeah, I think I was in the pub with him at Christmas because we always meet up at Christmas, and I was like, oh, shame I never got speaking to this boy. And I messaged him again, and he got back, and then we met. I think we went on our first date like within a week of that. So that was, and that's how me and Will met. But like, yeah, it was just dating apps. I mean, before Will and when I was single, I was meeting people different people once or twice a month, and
through the dating apps.
Through the dating apps, yeah, Hinge and Tinder.
You see, I'm sure you've gathered, listeners, that for me it was a bit of a longer process, a rather more difficult process than just texting or whatever.
I think
you had to make the big effort to write a letter. To that P.O. box at the Guardian or Time Out or whatever.
But if you think how many people are on these dating apps and you have to try and stand out to the people you're talking to, and you'd meticulously write your bio, which could only be like 200 words or 200 characters, and you'd have to pick your pictures to think like, right, what are people going to swipe on? So people would put pictures of their dogs on all the time because people are like, oh, that's so cute, and they'd give you a chance. And it was really like, you really have to be really quite kind of clever on it. Like you can't be yourself because no one else, you have to think about Hinge. So Hinge is a bit different to Tinder because you've still got 6 pictures, but you've got 3 prompts. So you have to pick 3 questions and answer them. So you could show a bit more of your personality
Like
on
a
it.
pub quiz, folks.
Kind of like a pub quiz, I suppose. But you had to pick carefully, and you had to try and be witty and funny without, being uncool. And honestly, it got really depressing after a while because you're just constantly talking, swiping, not hearing back. You could swipe through like 500 people and not hear from any of them.
Could become an addiction.
And 100% it does, and it probably did.
It's why I never did.
Yeah, it's definitely a dangerous. Well, not dangerous as in you can become a bit too involved in it, and then you can't see another. Oh, no one likes me because I've swiped. I've gone through all these people, and
It must be quite humiliating in a way for some people. Well, hello, dears. Neil here, just checking in. How are you doing? If you're enjoying today's episode, why not drop us a quick review on your favourite podcast platform? And don't forget to hit the follow button so you never miss an episode. We love hearing and interacting with you. We are into interaction. Follow us then on social media at Hello Dear Pod for bonus content and send us a message. Finally, if you're one of our listeners on Spotify, you can interact with our Q&As and polls, which you'll find on most episodes. All our links are in the description of this episode. Now, let's get back to it.
I think it can be, and I think it makes you think. If especially Tinder, and you're kind of just looking at like 6 pictures, and you go, clearly I'm an unattractive person because no one swiped on me.
Yeah,
but that doesn't necessarily mean you're unattractive. I mean, but you think how quickly you're swiping on this app.
Yeah.
You're not looking
really
half
thinking.
the time, and you're not thinking. You're there
It's
talking to your friends.
Well, this is the way life has become, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
Amazon, whatever. As soon as you buy something on Amazon, for instance, which is totally different, I know. You buy something on Amazon, the algorithm then sends you all these and you've already bought the item.
Yeah.
You don't want it again.
Oh, you might like this. You might like that.
Yeah,
we think you're looking for a new phone or whatever. Yeah.
And you've already bought the item, like it's a household item that
Yeah.
you're never going to buy again in a hurry. I found this, and I felt quite guilty about this, I'll be quite honest, with the news. I look at the BBC News far too often on my phone. And there are some, quite devastating stories, things that people are going through on the news.
Gotcha. It's so
And you
depressing
just
now,
flick
yeah.
through the story and go on to the next thing, which is very, it's not right really, because that person is going through, or persons are going through horrendous things, like Palestine or the recent
the bridge
that went down in America. And really, it makes you realise you're just swiping through people, and this is the same thing in a way.
Yeah, I think
you're not giving people a chance.
No,
either.
and that's where it becomes demoralising, and you kind of, I think, especially when you're single, you're already in your head about being single,
yes,
and you go to these apps and you go, I'll find someone, and then it's really hard. I mean, the amount of people I must have swiped on, I think I must. So I for about I don't know, probably 18 months, I was on these apps. And God, the amount of people I must have swiped on, I think. So I saw on average like 1 or 2 people a month. And you think how many people I must have swiped on in London?
yeah,
And I must have, I maybe met 15, 20 of them.
and none of them were.
A few went,
Of
they
interest.
weren't. None of them lasted very long. As in, like, the lovely people. I still talk to some of them. Like, sometimes I hate the like friend zone thing because I don't think the friend zone's looked at as like a bad thing. You know what the friend zone is, don't you?
No,
Oh, okay. So when you put someone in
I'm old.
You're old. You don't understand this terminology. So the friend zone is when you decide that you'd rather be friends with someone rather than in a relationship with them. You put them in the friend zone, which is looked at as a bad thing. I'm in the friend zone now. What's the point? But I've made some good friends from these apps. Yeah, they just never worked out, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I learned a lot of things. Sometimes I wasn't in the right frame of mind to be dating anyone anyway.
exactly.
Likewise, you used it as a distraction, and
Or lonely.
yeah, exactly. And you're just bored, and you want to go meet someone. Yeah, I don't know. It was an interesting thing.
It's just, I think it kind of reduces people in a way, because obviously everyone has got something to offer of some kind. It may not be what you're looking for in a relationship at all. You know that maybe you're never going to get on particularly, you haven't got any common interests, but sometimes people have no common interests and there's some spark there.
Yeah.
You sort of know it. When in my experience, walking into that bar or that
You know
coffee shop,
there and then.
immediately know You immediately know.
It's really fun. I went on a date with this guy, and he was into theatre, and I was like, oh, okay. And we had a really good first date, and then the second date was awful. It was dreadful. Honestly, it couldn't have gone worse. Oh. And then it was just like neither of us spoke to each other. I got a text off him a few days later saying, I think we both know it wasn't going to work. And I was like, yeah.
Well, that's fair enough.
Yeah,
that's fair enough.
But so, I think you have an idea.
Yeah.
But it goes back to that kind of giving people a chance.
Yes.
It could go really well, but the second date you might go, actually, no, this isn't right at all. Or the first one might not go so well, and the second one, oh, actually, this isn't. Yeah. You the more comfortable you get with someone, the more times you see them, the kind of.
Well, that's the other thing. It's about being comfortable with somebody else, and you go on this date, and you're very nervous or rather excited, and the other person's the same, and they're not giving the right vibes because they're nervous.
Yeah.
And it's giving people a chance to calm down and see what happens.
Yeah. Really.
But I think there is this spark. There has to be some kind of spark. And then, who knows, it takes a bit of time for that to grow.
Well, this is it. And then
I
kind of...
don't think people give people the chance to do that.
No, and there's that whole thing of...
And I'm sure it's the same with straights.
I'm sure, relationships are relationships, don't think matters who you're with. But there's that thing then of, like, the next step, like, when do you become official? And there's the whole, like, how long do you leave it? Should...
Again, there shouldn't be...
There's no time frame, is there? It depends how comfortable you get and how quickly.
Because people take time to get to know each other.
Yeah.
And also, there might be reasons why they can't because of other things going on in each other's lives.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And then you get... My problem was always I was so busy at school.
Yeah.
And I tended to do this kind of thing in the holidays.
Right.
Because obviously I was much more relaxed, I did do some in the winter term, I remember. Then you're thinking, oh God, school, I won't be able to do this, I won't be able to do it.
And you kind of just, you sort of just do it on the side just as a bit of, I'll occupy myself. And a lot of the time I was sort of like, I've got no plans this week, shall I go on Tinder and try and find a date for the week just to kind of go out and have something to do this week, Yeah. That was definitely part of it. Yeah. But why didn't we get onto some stories? Because I feel like, I want to hear some of your disasters and your fun experiences, because I know you've got some stories to tell. Yes,
where do I start?
Which ones aren't so outrageous you can tell?
Where do I start?
Do you remember like the worst date you went on?
Yes, I do. And again, it was he'd written to me, and we were on the phone, and he said, "Oh, you like classical music, Neil?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Oh," he said, "I really like Pavarotti, the tenor, who he was a big star then, but doesn't necessarily mean you know anything about opera.
No,
No, it doesn't matter." So I arranged to meet this gentleman, and it was pouring down with rain. It was a Friday night. I'd been at school all week, and I was quite tired, and I went home to Kingston. It's a long time ago. And I arranged to meet him, and he lived somewhere in the Finchley area, Finchley Road.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
So I got the 65 bus to Richmond Station, and the North London line in this pouring rain. And it was not a very nice journey. I remember I had a Victorian novel with me. Well, it might as well have been a Victorian novel, Gothic. The rain's pouring, the train, wondering who you're going to meet, I wasn't wearing my bonnet at the time, but there we go. And I got to this platform, and he was waiting at the top of the stairs. It's a long flight of stairs to get onto the Finchley Road.
Yeah.
The platform, the station's at the bottom. So I got to the top, and I walked past him.
I suppose you didn't know what he looked like, do you?
Not really, no. But and then there's oh hello, and I knew instantly. This poor man had not got much going for him. He wasn't particularly attractive, and I thought, no, Neil, you've got to go and it's pouring with rain.
Yeah,
he's made the effort. So I said, well, shall we go and have something to eat? I need to have something to eat.
Yeah.
I said, all right, yes. And I said, I know a place down the road, Spud You Like, the baked potato thing. So we went in there. I thought, it doesn't matter, and we started talking. And I was trying to work out, what are you interested in? So I said, I used to be interested in cricket. oh, really? You know, I
Yeah.
haven't got the slightest.
No, of
Oh,
course,
really,
yeah.
really, really. But they changed the rules.
Right.
I used to listen to Radio 1. Now I listen to Radio 2. It's not the same.
Oh God.
Everything was
It's so
negative,
dreary.
negative. Poor soul. I was past myself, you know. I said, well, shall we go for a drink? Oh, that's a nice
Yes,
idea.
yeah,
Let's go for a drink. Let's cheer ourselves up, shall we? In this big pub on Finchley Road. And we had a drink. And it went on like this, negative. And he said, you know, I don't think you're my type. And I heaved a sigh of relief. He was not in a good place, I don't think.
Yeah.
And I got on that train and took out my copy of Charlotte Bronte's Viettes and continued on into the dark.
And you were more than happy.
and the wind and the rain, you know.
Yeah.
That was the worst one. There's a funny one. I'll tell you, which is not to do with dating app, but it's to do with dating.
Okay.
I was in Leeds, and I was running a weekend course, theatre studies course for A-level. I used to do courses for teachers, and I was staying in this hotel, the Griffin, and there was a guy with me from the National Theatre, Jack Murphy. He's a wonderful movement director, and I got him on the course to do, because it was a weekend we were doing, you know, so he could do some sessions, I could, you know, and all that, and obviously, it's someone from the National Theatre.
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
all that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we turned up in this hotel, and we're in the bar, and there were these ladies sitting around the corner in the bar of a certain age, glammed up to the nines. I mean, really glammed up, rather badly glammed up. And they took a fancy to us. But I mean, Jack and I are both gay, you know. And they took, oh, hello, you know, all that business, nudging each other and all that, with the big hair and all that. And they both looked like poorer versions of Dolly Parton. And they were there doing this. I thought, oh my God, you know. And they came over. Oh, what are you doing in Leeds? You know, and where we're running a course. Oh, really? Oh, actors and all that business. Oh, isn't it lovely? Oh, there might be. Are you on the telly? Are you on the television?
Of course, yeah.
What are you doing here? Oh, we've come to the singles night. Oh, really? Well, we might see you in there later. You know, and we move. And Jack said, oh, come, let's have a look at this. We've got to see what this singles night dance looks like. It hadn't quite started, and they had the ballroom. And there was this balding man sitting who was taking the money with a tank top.
Lovely.
And all that. I mean, he looked like something out of the 70s, you know. I'm being dreadful, really. I shouldn't be doing this.
Not on Easter as well.
And,
God won't be
I
happy.
know. It was a long time ago. Anyway, we stood there looking at, and he said, hello, he said, are you coming to singles night? You know. There's something for everyone, you know. There's someone for everyone.
Oh, God.
Which might be the motto of the pair of us, really, maybe, dating. But I never forgot that.
Yeah.
How about you? You must have had some strange occurrences.
Yeah, I've never really had, and it's boring, I know, but I've never really had a bad date that I'd go, oh my God, that was awful. Like, there was some that was just like, oh, you know, I won't see them again. But, like, never anything terrible.
I think I was so excited. My expectations were way too high anyway.
Yeah.
And the older you get, the more baggage you've got.
I'm
and
sure.
So if you're meeting people your own age,
Yeah.
they've got a past
Of course,
or whatever,
stories.
And you end up counselling. And I gave up on it after a while. I was very happy as I was. And I've got so many friends anyway. And I'm not lonely anymore.
No, so
all.
my question was going to be like, so what have you learned from dating? Why did you stop? At what point did you just go, not for me, or not for me anymore?
I think it was much easier to meet people in a bar.
I disagree, because how do you know if someone's gay at a bar and if they're not going to turn around and punch you or not? Unless you're in a gay bar.
So I'm in a gay bar, or you know, you get talking to people. I think nowadays much easier. I think there are a lot of gay people are out, and you know, you got the theatre, you got the opera, you go cultural places.
They're easier to spy.
There, yeah.
Honest, yeah.
And you know, you just get talking.
Yeah.
You know, and that's much nicer. I mean, there's a very close gay couple I know who I met one of them this morning. And they met at the theatre, at the National Theatre in the big area around there. And they've been together for many years, and they're now married. So, but it started from a mutual interest. And And that never kind of happened. That's the kind of way I'd like to have happened, rather than this sort of, it's almost like desperation.
I think you do have to have a balance of, I'm going to go on these apps, but I'm going to use them very lightly, and occasionally I'll go and swipe, but I'm not going to be on it every day, every night, which is what it becomes very easily.
And you have to be hugely confident in yourself.
Well, yeah, before you can be happy with someone, you have to be happy in yourself.
And that wasn't the case. You have to be hugely confident in yourself.
Yeah.
And not care. There's a line from a poem by T.S. Eliot: teach us to care and not to care. Teach us to be still. I think that that applies to all
You do
this.
have to step back sometimes and kind of go, am I getting too involved in this? And to the point where I'm now in an unhealthy relationship with myself.
Yes.
Is this actually doing me any good? Or do I need to step back and kind of, learn to be okay with myself a bit? 'Cause I use dating as a way to kind of distract myself from that. I wasn't happy necessarily. I wasn't severely depressed or anything. Like, I was getting over a breakup, and a lot of people jump on these apps when they're getting over someone.
Yes.
And you're not in the right frame of mind to be finding someone, and you'd kind of use it as a distraction, which it
Or
definitely
to boost
was for
their
me.
ego.
Well, this is it, and you just need that kind of push again. And
I met people in bars, men in bars, who did that. They'd be chatting you up, and it's just to boost their ego.
But in some ways, that's partly what dating's for. There is an element of recovery and discovery that you kind of have to have a bit.
They're not
of fun
even
with,
interested in meeting you.
A lot of people just kind of flirt. How do you get better at flirting? You got to flirt with more than one person.
I was very good at flirting.
Oh, were you, dear?
I was very good at flirting, and that's the one thing I miss about going gay bars.
You miss
It's
having the flirts.
flirting.
Yeah. Oh, it is good fun. It is good fun.
I loved that.
That's the other thing, is the chase.
Yes.
The chase and
You've
desire.
got to enjoy the chase.
If someone doesn't like you back, you can get so tangled up in chasing them and thinking you can be with them and thinking they'll change them. The amount of boys I chase after thinking this will be something, there will be interest eventually, they will reply. Gosh, so bad. Would you ever go back to it? Do you think you'd ever?
I'm not interested. No. I would not start Grindr. I'd become addicted to it. Not necessarily meeting anyone, But I have got a Grindr story if there's time. I don't do Grindr at all. But a couple of years ago, I was with my friend Simon, who does listen to this podcast, and he is on Grindr. But he does it just for fun, he says.
Sorry, Simon, if Neil's just completely outed you there.
Well, no, yes, dear. Anyway, there we were, and we went to Chichester for a little holiday, and it was just when you could go out at the end of 2020 around there.
Yes, yeah.
We had those tiers, do you remember?
Yes,
Tears for souvenirs, tears for fears. Restaurants and things were open until like 10 o'clock. It was social distancing and all of that business. And we found a nice sort of rooms above a pub, each had our own room, and then we thought we'd go and have a look around Chichester. The theatre wasn't open. We had to go back there later. So we're wandering around Chichester, and I said, well, before we go and get something, I wouldn't mind having a pint of beer. So we went in this pub, big pub, huge pub, mixed people there. It didn't seem to be a gay bar particularly, but there were mixed people there. And we got our drink. Oh, yeah, they came to you with a drink because of it being...
Oh, yeah, of course you had to. Yeah.
That's fine. And there was this guy about 6'5", who was the manager, who was camp as anything. Christened him Long Tall Sally, but... he was as camp as anything. And hello. And Simon had got his Grindr app on, and ping, 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 all around the bar. All around the bar. And Simon he said, look at that guy over there at the bar. Must have been in his late 30s, early 40s, about Simon's age. And he said, look at his photograph.
What was it?
Well, they didn't look like each other at all. Talk about airbrush. You could earn a fortune as a photographer airbrushing. Not much like him at all, really. Or it was taken quite a few years, but he said, and that's what it's like on Grindr.
I used to lie about my height on dating apps.
Really?
Yeah, I was 5'6" or 7 on dating apps, and I'm 5'4".
You're the same as me.
Yeah, so I used to lie about my height.
It's all that.
And every time I'd meet a boy, they'd be like, "Oh, I thought you looked taller, or I thought you were taller than." I was like, "Well, where do we end this? What's the resolution here?"
I remember once standing in a gay bar, a very busy gay bar, and you could see that certain people were kind of flirting with this one and flirting with that one. I suddenly thought, if they all just stood still and had a really good look around, they probably find the person that they really should marry.
Right, I think we'd better end because I think we've started to ramble a little bit here, don't you
I think we are.
We have. Right, well, we'll see you next week. We'll have something else to talk about. You've been listening to Hello Dear, presented by Ciaran and Neil. Follow us wherever you listen to podcasts for a new episode every single Wednesday. In the meantime, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok under @HelloDearPod, and you'll find bonus content and behind-the-scenes stuff there. Want to get involved further? Then for Spotify listeners, you can interact with our Q&As on each episode. And for all other platforms, including Spotify, just click the link in the description of this podcast to send us a written or voice-recorded message. See you next week.